Hi, my name is Jay Oza. I teach, mentor, and coach people on public speaking so that they can give winning high stakes speeches, whether it's one on one, in a job interview, or in a small group at a business meeting, or before a large audience at a conference. The speech tip that I want to give you today is why you should use stories. Now, I know you probably have heard this. There are a lot of people who talk about that you gotta tell a story. You gotta tell a story if you want to really connect with the people. And I agree. But there's another reason why you should use a story besides connecting with people. It's that stories are hard to challenge. If I tell you a story, you're going to accept it. It's almost like a fiction. You can't challenge fiction. Either you like it or you don't like it. And if it's well told, you're going to like it. So, anytime you're giving a presentation, create some kind of a story because that will allow you to make your point more clearly. So, you can do it either make the point, then tell a story, or tell a story and then make the point, or make the point, tell the story, and then make the point again. How you do it, it's up to you. But a story is very important to capture the attention of the audience. Now, there is a problem with this. One is you don't want to make up a story. And that's the problem with stories. You have no way of knowing how true the story is. When somebody tells you a story, it's almost entirely fiction or it's essentially a manipulative tool. So you got to be careful when you tell stories. You don't want to go to the well too many times because after a while people will start thinking, does he really have anything to say? And it's a trap in a way because stories are very addictive because you want to, let's face it, when you're giving a speech, you want to be loved, you want to be liked, you want the audience to give you that adulation. So you're going to really amp up your stories. And let's face it, when you're telling stories, you don't have to remember a lot. You can just give it to them the way you remember it. And even if you're wrong, nobody's going to find out. You're going to look great. And that is the problem sometimes when people resort to stories. So I want you to be careful. Tell a story, but don't rely on it too much because then you're going to basically content poor. You want a good balance between content and entertainment, which I consider as part of storytelling. Storytelling is kind of entertaining, right? Because when you tell stories, and if you do it well, people are going to listen. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to ask yourself, what is your main objective? Because, here's the entertainment. You're on a spectrum. Entertainment versus information or persuasion or whatever, right? You want to give them some content that'll make them smarter. If you tell too many stories, yes, you'll feel good, the audience feel good, but it's almost like a sugar high. They got the high, but it's not good for them. They didn't get what you really wanted them to get. What you wanted them to get was this information that you're sharing. You're trying to make them smarter. If the story helps you do that, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you get to the point where you basically want to come out looking good by telling one story after another and just endless stories, then I think you are falling in a real big trap. And a lot of speakers fall into this trap. And when I see them, I'm like, wow, that was a entertaining speech. But then I'm asking, what did I get out of it? Hardly anything. So you don't want to make it too easy. They get nothing out of it. At the same time, you don't want to make it too difficult and they get nothing out of it. You got to find that right balance. How do you do that? I wish I knew, but the best way to do it is just practicing this. There's no simple formula. You got to know your audience. You got to know what they know. Because if you don't know what they know, then you're going to not know what the right balance is. So it's very important. If you're telling something that is some research, the way you would talk about that research to people who are in that field is going to be different from trying to give that same speech to a general public or general audience. Okay, so you got to know the difference between the two audience that you're talking to. But no matter what, you always want to balance out entertainment versus content. What is the how do you balance that? And if you start practicing this, you're going to become a much better speaker. But the main thing I want to try to point you is tell stories. Stories are very important. It'll get your message across, but it has to support your message. You can't just fall into this trap and just tell stories, and after a while, you're not sure what you really are. Are you an entertainer? And if you're not an entertainer, then don't rely on stories too much, because that could hurt your ability to get your message across that you're there for. Okay? So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching, and if you ever need help with your speech, whether it's for a job interview or a meeting you're having for a sales meeting or a conference, let me know. I can help you. Okay? Thank you.